Hey everyone, Zach Ketterigan here with Madison Magnets, chair of the Community Involvement Committee. I'm really excited to be sitting down with Ellen Carlson, executive director of MOM. And Ellen, why don't you kick it off? Tell us a little bit about yourself and MOM.
Yeah, so Ellen Carlson, I've been working at Middleton Outreach for a very long time. And I would say that this last year has been the biggest challenge, of course, that we've had. We're actually celebrating our 40th year this year of bringing the community together to, take care of our neighbors. And so I always sort of laugh when I think like, we had all these more celebratory bringing people together things, and instead we're doing what we do which is working with the community. So be it, right? So our work is creating food security and housing stability in our community. We work primarily with people who live on the west side of Madison, Middleton, and Cross Plains. And that work looks, it looks a little different right now, but in the best of times, we have a fairly large food pantry that allows people to come and shop for the food that they need for their families. They can come as often as they need to. I'm really trying to have nutrition and food not be something that is only for some people, but that it's available for everyone. So it's very important to us that people have that food security whenever they need it. And our housing stability program focuses on case management and getting people housing grants when they need them, connecting people to resources, just kind of being there at a critical time when people are struggling.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful. And so when people think of food insecurity, people think of it's not in my backyard.
Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about food insecurity in Madison?
Yeah, I mean, food insecurity is right. I think a lot of people think like there can't be people here who need to use a food pantry, and yet there are so many people who for whom food is hard. Bills need to get paid, and often they find themselves with very little left to get the food that they need for their families. In our service area, if you were to sort of look at the free reduced lunch numbers, which are people who have incomes where they're struggling, about a quarter of the kids in our community qualify for free and reduced lunch. So that's just kind of one indicator for us to look at to see how much food security is in the area. And I think some people often think too that they sort of have an image of who it is that needs to use a food pantry, but it's a whole broad a range of people, people who have lost their jobs, people who are on a single income and have maybe two kids, people who are in our community that maybe you just don't know need to use a food pantry to either supplement or get a lot of the food that they need.
Thank you. Yeah. And COVID has changed every aspect of our
Yeah.
life. I'm sure young professionals are curious, how have how has COVID changed the impact that you're making, how you're making?
Yeah. So everything had to change how we do things, right? Our goal was to make sure that we could still provide all of our services and just do them in different ways because we knew that there would be a lot of people who obviously things hadn't necessarily changed for them, that they still needed to use the food pantry. They were still needing case management, but also obviously there were a lot of people who had never needed to use a food pantry or never struggled paying their rent before, and we're all of a sudden looking for resources and trying to figure out what that looks like, and that work still continues. I mean, I think as we look into 2021, I think that we all know that the economic crisis is still looming, and that there is going to be a lot of people who maybe have been making it until now, but are going to find themselves in harder positions this next year. So we're gearing up to make sure that we can continue to provide that support. So our food pantry right now is doing a drive-through distribution. So people drive their cars up. They actually get to fill out a menu based on items that we have available. And then we have a bunch of people who fill up the carts and then they drive to the end and we fill up their car. So it's a really safe way for people to get food. I always tell people there's food in the insecurity, like the food system right now. It's not like people who are struggling should say things like, well, my neighbor like probably needs it more than me. And the fact is that we have food available and we want people to use it. There's no reason why people should struggle to have food for themselves and for their families.
Yeah. Um, is there a silver lining to COVID that your organization has
Ye
realized or has noticed?
Yeah. It's been really interesting seeing, just how our work has changed and how people have come together. I think that, food security and housing stability was something that people knew was important, but maybe wasn't at the top of their minds. And now there are people reaching out to us who we've never talked to before, or people who, maybe have supported our work from a distance, but really want to make sure that they're there for their neighbors. And it's been really incredible. The community has really come together to support the work that we're doing, ultimately to support their neighbors through us. And I think so many more people are having those conversations about what a just food system looks like, what, how racism affects housing instability. All of those conversations are happening. And I think um, it can only serve to change the systems better and to really bring more people together to solve big problems.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so a Magnet member, a young professional listening to this conversation, yeah, how
Yeah.
can they support your cause? How can they get involved? What do you
Yeah.
got up?
So
Go
there's a
ahead.
whole bunch of different things. Sorry. The fun of video conversations, right? There are so many things happening right now, especially the end of the year is a really big, busy time for us as an organization. And it's great because then after sort of the holidays are over, we can really kind of dive in and see like what resources we're going to have to support the community next year. So especially right in this like December, January time, there's lots of things that people can do. I always tell people to go to holidays.momhelps.org because that's sort of where everything lives for everyone. But there's everything from a meal that people can purchase that supports a local business and also our organization. We've got Giving Tuesday coming up, really trying to get the word out about the work that we're doing. We have tons of challenge grants. So, kind of social media. Is the big way that Giving Tuesday kind of makes its way around the community. So being having people willing to share that information with their circles. If people are interested in helping directly with the food pantry, we have a top 10 list that what we do is we gather as many of those items on that top 10 list as possible so that we can then have those on our menu to distribute during our food distribution. So that's kind of a fun, focused way for people to get involved. Um, Winter Wishes is coming up. So that's our program where we match families with different individuals and groups who want to support their neighbors through the holidays. That has to look different this year. That's like the answer to everything, right? That looks different this year. But instead of purchasing gifts directly, we're doing a gift card program that we need financial support for. And we're also giving out wrapping paper and those kinds of gift wrapping supplies. So there's lots of fun ways that people can kind of spread the word and kind of support all kinds of different causes that are happening right now.
Wow, a ton of ways, and we'll definitely list
A ton of ways and more.
them. That's right. So this was a lovely conversation. Thank you for sitting down. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you, or any parting words?
I would just say thank you, obviously, for being willing to share our cause with the community. And I really always sort of end these conversations with just reminding people that anything they can do to reach out to their neighbors right now, it feels like that's the thing, right? Everybody needs something different. And anything that we can do with either through our case management or through the food pantry or other programs, it's just we're here to support people. And so we just don't want people to be shy to reach out if they've got questions or they have needs.
Okay, great. And we'll definitely let our members know how they can reach out. And thank
Wonderful.
you. Yeah, thank you again, Ellen, and
Thank
take care.
you. Have a great day.
You as well.